we have planted just over 80,000 trees and shrubs across the city.
We have all of these trees, as you can see, and we get to give them away for free to people in London.
Hi everyone, my name's Emily Feebry. I'm also known as Ranger M. I'm an environmental educator and communicator, and I get to talk to a lot of different people about all things nature and conservation. I love to knowledge share, and that's what I want to do with you. So come on, let's go learn with Ranger M. Did you know the City of London is known as the Forest City? This name comes from the first settlers coming over and being mesmerized by all the trees around them. But as more settlers came, they had to cut down more and more trees to build the neighborhoods and the cities of what we see today. You can still see remnants of these forests at Sifton Bog and at Westminster Ponds, which is where we are today. Today we're going to meet with ReForest London, who is going to tell us a bit more about their programs and services and how they're working to reforest the city. So let's go dive into the Forest City. Hi Shaq, thanks for joining us today. I was wondering if you could just tell us a bit about yourself and your role at ReForest London.
Hi Emily, thank you so much for coming out to be with us. So actually what I do here is I'm the Westminster Pond Center coordinator, and so we're actually here at the Westminster Pond Center today, and we're super excited to show you more about what we really do and how this place is a place for community.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about where we are and these buildings and just the history of this place.
This entire site goes back generations. So it starts with the indigenous history, of which we have the Attawandaron people, the Anishinaabe, Lenape peoples, and the Haudenosaunee, who were here as their traditional territory for time immemorial. And they were great stewards of the land. We found artifacts as old as 2000 BC down by the ponds. And this was a great place for them to meet and come together again. Another reason it was a place for community is the meeting tree, which people who were coming up from the Underground Railroad, escaping slavery, they use it as a meeting spot to be able to navigate their way up into Canada. And then we also have the veterans history, so post-World War II, with our veterans coming back, all of these buildings were erected by the government of Canada in order to help rehabilitate and reintegrate our veterans into society. And over time, it turned into an occupational therapy place for tuberculosis, but they really saw the value of nature for well-being and community for well-being. And we continue that to this day here at the Westminster Pond Center as we are developing a sustainability center for our community and planetary well-being.
You were telling me that there's plans for these buildings, and I was wondering if you could just tell us all a bit more, kind of how you're going to continue to use them today and refurnish them.
Yeah, so originally there were 11 buildings on the entire site. There's only 4 remaining that still stand. So we have the Bruce, the Huron, the Perth, and the Wellington, which stands right here. And currently the Bruce and the Huron are being used. The Bruce is used for office space for Thames Talbot Land Trust, ReForest London, Urban Roots, and for the London Environment Network. And it's also home to our volunteer training center, which is a brand new rentable space that we actually just launched a couple weekends ago. And then the Huron is actually where the Thames Valley District School Board runs their environmental leadership program, where grade 10 students get to spend a full semester, get a semester's worth of credits to experience nature, to learn more about the environmental sector, and to really develop their leadership skills. And currently the Perth and the Wellington are to be determined as we figure out what kind of things the community needs. So we're actually running a community consultation right now, working with our key stakeholders and the broader community to really understand what the London community needs in their sustainability journey.
If someone wanted to participate in that, do they just go onto your website?
Yep, so exactly. If you want to participate in that and give our feedback, we have our contact us form, and we're actually developing surveys throughout the entirety of the process. It's been going on for over a year now, and it's been very iterative, so we've been taking feedback, building it in, and trying to learn more and more about the community each and every time we reach out to them.
I was just wondering how the WPC, or the Westminster Pond Center, helps ReForest London meet their goals.
The Westminster Pond Center, the whole idea of it is to really be a catalyst for collaboration. So ReForest London is a tree planting organization, and so the impact that we have on the community at ReForest London is through the value of trees. Now what the Westminster Pond Center does is really allow us to grow into that sustainability umbrella and collaborate with other organizations. So we have great co-tenants here like Thames Talbot Land Trust, who are stewards of land, the London Environment Network, who works with other environmental organizations to create communication and connection. We have Child Reach and their Wild Child program, which allows young children to experience nature in free play. We have the Thames Valley District School Board. We also have Urban Roots doing their urban agriculture, growing in the winter operations. and so much more going on here with our amazing tenants. Plus we have great community partners who touch us in other ways, like the Westminster Working Group that rents snowshoes out of here during the winter operations. So it's really about bringing community together, bringing people together around a common goal of improving our community and our planet. And that's what the Westminster Pond Centre allows ReForest London to do.
That's truly amazing. Thank you. I was just wondering, finally, if you could tell us a bit about programs that you do here.
Yeah, so the Westminster Pond Centre, uniquely on its own, has two programs underneath its umbrella. We have the Signal Boost Initiative, which allows us to work with multiple community partners in and out of the environmental sector to run educational workshops and programming. And so actually last year in 2021 alone, the Signal Boost Initiative ran over 66 events with over 1,000 different participants within our community. And it was a variety of in-person events, webinars. So even through the pandemic, we were able to still make a big mark and work with community. So that was huge for us. And then the second program we have is actually the Seed Hub. And my coworker Sarah will tell us a little bit more about that because that's her baby.
Oh, well, let's go meet up with Sarah. Today, instead of fun facts, I'm going to tell you about 3 different places to explore in London. The Coves, a neighbourhood in London, is home to both the Black Walnut Forest and the Hackberry Forest. Both of those forests are rare in Ontario. Today, instead of fun facts, I'm going to tell you about 3 different places to explore in London. The Coves, a neighbourhood in London, is home to both the Black Walnut Forest and the Hackberry Forest. Both of those forests are rare in Ontario. Sarah, thanks for joining us today. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about yourself and your position here at ReForest London.
Yeah, so my name is Sarah. I'm the Environmental Programs Coordinator here at ReForest London. One of my main roles is to lead the Seed Hub.
Yes, actually, Shaq told us about the Seed Hub, and I was wondering if you could tell us what that means.
Yeah, so the Seed Hub is a relatively new program here at ReForest London. It's a totally volunteer-driven program where we focus on the ethical seed collection of our native trees and shrubs.
Oh, okay. Why do you collect seeds? For your programs, or?
So we collect seeds for a million different reasons, mostly for public education. We really want to engage the public, give them free workshops to educate them on this really lesser known aspect of the environment. As well, we want to try to one day supply our own trees for our own planting initiatives. So next year, we'll be breaking ground on our community tree nursery, which will be a volunteer-run building that is focusing on growing our seeds for planting initiatives, as well as incorporating a whole bunch of different educational aspects for all levels of, or all grade levels.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Do you try and get specific species of seeds, or kind of whatever you can find?
So we try and collect anything that's from our region, so anything native. So London, we find ourselves in the middle of the Carolinian forest, so any trees that would be normally in the Carolinian we would collect from.
Okay, and do you collect seeds just here at Westminster Ponds, or do you even ask private citizens if they have a tree on their property if they're willing to give seeds?
Yeah, so we actually do both. Right now, the majority of our seeds is collected from London locally. We ask permission from the city, and then we hold seed collection workshops where we'll take volunteers out to different London parks and environmentally significant areas and collect seed from there. But we also have a new program called Seed Cycle, which is an awesome way for the community to give back. If they have mature trees in their yard that are producing seed that usually end up decomposing or going into the compost, they can harvest those seeds and donate them so we can grow them up and put them back into our parks.
So I imagine you get lots of seed by the end of the season. How do you store them?
So storing seed is different for each type of seed. When we're storing it, we want to do what is going to happen in nature. We're trying to mimic that. So different seeds will dry out on a branch and they can be left on the shelf for the rest of the season. Some seeds, more like a berry, need to emulate going through a bird's stomach. So we would put them in a bag full of sand, squish all the fleshy bits off, and then keep the seed. But majority of the seeds need to do something called cold stratification, where we put them in the fridge for about 4 to 6 months to simulate a winter before we can then plant them in the spring.
Oh, okay. And then they hopefully become the trees of the forest city.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to go and meet up with Lily to learn more about the trees you put in the ground. The marshland in London, including Sifton Bog, was created by an ancient natural process. The growth and retreat of glaciers created spaces in the landscape where water and aquatic life could flourish. The marshland in London, including Sifton Bog, was created by an ancient natural process. The growth and retreat of glaciers created spaces in the landscape where water and aquatic life could flourish. Thank you for joining us today, Lily. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about yourself and your position with ReForest London.
For sure, thanks Emily. So my name's Lily and I'm the Park Naturalization Project Manager with ReForest London. I've been here just under a year now, and within my role I oversee and I plan and I lead all of the park naturalization events. So I plan and identify parks that we want to naturalize over the next coming seasons, and I take volunteers out and corporate groups, sponsor groups, and I show them how to plant a tree, and we slowly, every season, we start to naturalize a little bit more of London.
Do you know how many trees ReForest London has planted in the City of London?
Yeah, so ever since we've started putting trees in the ground, we have planted just over 80,000 trees and shrubs across the city.
I was wondering if ReForest London has a goal. Obviously your name, ReForest London, you're trying to reforest the city. So if you have like a certain goal, or the City of London has a certain goal you guys are trying to meet.
Yeah, so if you aren't aware, we have a challenge. It's called the Million Tree Challenge, where, as it's called, we are looking to partner with different organizations and just with people in London in general to plant 1 million trees. With that goal, we have reached halfway. We've just celebrated our 500,000 trees event.
Awesome.
And it's not just us, ReForest London, that's planting these trees. It's everyday people. It's people who have land, corporations, anyone who wants to plant a tree. We encourage them to register them on our website at milliontrees.ca. And every tree that's registered gets added to that counter.
Okay.
And as well, similarly, the city also has a goal within their urban forest strategy to plant more trees so that we can reach a denser canopy. So the goal is 35% by 2065, and I think right now we sit at around 23-24%. So there's a lot more to go, but every tree that gets put into the ground adds to that overall goal.
Can ReForest London plant anywhere in the city? Do you specifically aim for certain places? Like, I know we're standing in somewhere that you planted, and like, do you do anywhere in London?
Yeah, so we have different little pockets that we aim for. Our most popular planting is what we call a park naturalization or turf conversion planting, where we go to a park within a local community and we bring out community members, volunteers, or corporate groups, and we slowly but surely start expanding out a natural area. We also do schools, so it's a new-ish program, but we partner with school groups and teachers who are interested in planting more trees on their property, and we come out, we show them how to do a site plan, how to choose appropriate tree species for them, and we help facilitate tree plantings on their school grounds. A new one we're starting to do a bit more of is stormwater pond plantings. So stormwater ponds are those big retention ponds that you see in the newer subdivisions, and they play a really important purpose for our city. They hold the water, they help filter water, especially stormwaters that pool up on our roads and on our driveways, and they store it and they slowly release it back into the groundwater. And so we're doing a lot more naturalizations of those stormwater ponds so that they're not just barren grass that pollutants can pool up on.
And when you say naturalizations, do you just mean kind of just tree planting? And is it like you try and aim for native species, right?
Yes, so we only plant native trees and shrubs because they are what has grown here and has done the best in our region. But there are other organizations like London Environmental Network who do similar naturalizations as well, but they focus more on pollinator gardens and rain gardens. And together we're just doing little pockets here and there, but slowly we're naturalizing, hopefully, a lot of London.
I think sometimes people forget that after you plant a tree, you still kind of have to care for it. And I know you guys have an aftercare program. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, so aftercare, it's a little bit more relaxed than our typical tree planting events, and we invite all people of all ages and experience to come out and help manage and take care of the sites that we've planted in the past. So we usually do aftercare in the summer, and we go back to sites that we've planted within the year, within the last 2 years as well, and we just do a little bit of maintenance. So we do some weeding, remulching, and it's a great opportunity for us and our volunteers to see the progression of our plantings and see that natural succession happen over the couple of years. And it also just allows us to assess the area and see if there's more opportunity for us to come back and replant it if there are certain plants that aren't doing well, but also see if there's room for expansion if we wanted to plant a little bit more. So it's a great opportunity really for anyone to come out and give a little TLC for our plants.
And I bet it's pretty rewarding if they've come to a program a couple years ago and they can see it growing.
For sure.
And I also heard that sometimes you guys give out free trees.
Yes.
I feel like we should meet up with Maddie and hear more about that
Maddie will
program.
give you all the info about free trees.
Awesome. Thank you, Lily.
Thanks, Emily.
Warbler Woods in London is named for the uncommon golden-winged warbler that once nested in the area. This spot has become a favorite birding spot over the last 100 years. Warbler Woods in London is named for the uncommon golden-winged warbler that once nested in the area. This spot has become a favorite birding spot over the last 100 years. Thanks, Maddie, for joining us today. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about yourself and your position with ReForest London.
Yeah, so my name's Maddie. I am the Community Projects Manager at ReForest London. So I really manage the community tree giveaway program where we give trees away to people in London for free. And I also run our private planting projects. So any planting that happens on private property that's not in a park that Lily runs would be my responsibility. So I really like to get in touch with those private landowners and make those planting projects happen on their own properties. And I actually studied forestry in school, so I have a lot of a background in trees and I really love trees, and so this is a great job for me because, as you can see, I get to be around trees all day, every day.
That's perfect. I was just wondering how you guys are able to give away free trees.
Yeah, so we have all of these trees, as you can see, and we get to give them away for free to people in London, largely due to the generous support of the City of London's Tree Me program. So it's a grant that's available for private tree plantings that we are able to access because all of these trees will be planted on private property. So people's front yards, backyards, if they have a big field in their house that they want to plant trees on. So that's how we're able to give these trees away all for free to residents in London. It's a really great program.
How would someone go about getting a free tree?
Every spring and fall we have tree giveaways, so we'll have them usually running in May to June, and then this year in the fall it's from kind of October, late October and September. And so we have two different ways that people can get trees. One of them is by attending a community tree depot, so those happen in various locations in the city. So people's businesses, in public parks, we'll go with a bunch of trees, load them all up in our trailer, and have people basically come line up, and they get 2 trees that they can take home with them that day, which is really exciting, super fun. Everyone loves to kind of be part of that community and excitement of getting free trees that day. And another way actually, which is pretty convenient, is people can order online. So we'll have our online pre-order that goes live at a certain point in the season, and people can select their trees online and then pick them up at our office at a selected time slot. So that's really great if you just want to come get your tree, you know what you want, and then you can take them home with you that day as well. So we run 2 different ways just to try to get as many people as we can to be able to get these trees on their properties.
Wow, that's awesome. And do these free trees, if a private landowner were to get one, do they count towards the Million Tree program?
They do, yeah. So ReForest London was one of the founding partners in the London's Million Tree Challenge. So we've reached about 500,000 trees this year. We had a big celebration. It's really exciting. And so any trees that are taken as part of our giveaway program can be registered on milliontrees.ca to count towards that million tree goal. So if you planted any trees on your property, if you get any trees with you this season that you've taken from a giveaway, please go to that website, milliontrees.ca, and register them so you can see that counter tick up towards 1 million trees.
Yeah, it's a cool program for the entire City of London to work towards.
Yeah,
I really like that
excited.
idea. I was wondering if you'd tell us a bit about what considerations private landowners should consider before they plant a tree on their property.
Yeah, there are lots of things you should consider actually. And planting a tree, it's a pretty big commitment because you're hoping to have it on your property for years and years to come. You want to make sure that that tree can grow and be super healthy and beautiful for future generations. So really important to consider first the site conditions of your yard. So do you have sandy soil? Do you have clay soil? Is it really wet in the springtime? Is it really dry in the summer? So these are all things you want to consider, as well as sunlight. Is it full sun? Do you have a big tree already that gives a lot of shade to that yard? So maybe you want to plant something that's more shade tolerant that can grow under the canopy of a larger tree. Another thing that's really important, especially in the city, is size. Do you have room to plant a really large tree that's going to get 80 feet tall? Or do you only have room for a small tree that can get maybe 20 feet tall or so? So all of these things are super important to think about ahead of time before you choose the right species. And that's why we're here too, is to help people decide based on their criteria what's the best tree for them and their location.
I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about the trees that are behind us today.
Yeah, as you can see, we have hundreds and hundreds of trees right now in the compound. We have over 20 different species, so we try to give away a really good variety of species to help increase the diversity in the city as well. We want to also expose people to different native species that they might not know about. So we have what I see right here is a black cherry tree. We've got some pagoda dogwoods, some little white spruce. We've got all kinds of fruit trees actually, so domestic fruit trees like peaches, apples, and pears we'll be giving away so people can grow their own fruit. We have some cedars, some walnut. We've got all kinds of stuff. And a few oaks back there as well, which are one of my favorites. So like I said, we just try to have as many options available to people so that they can get a tree that fits their site the best. So yeah, it's super beautiful right now. You can see all the trees here. It's really lovely. And then by the end of the fall, this compound will be entirely empty, hopefully, and all of the trees will be out in people's yards in London.
Well, I think that's awesome that you guys have a lot of different species. You know, it's not just maples and oaks we find in the city, it's a whole bunch of different ones. Not that maples and oaks aren't beautiful and worth our time too. But I want to thank you, Maddie, for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought the perfect way to finish up this episode would be to discuss how to plant a tree. Remember what Maddie said, we want to consider our surroundings. So if there's canopy over top, what your soil moisture is, what your soil type is, and that all helps you figure out what kind of tree you should plant. If you have any questions, reach out to ReForest London and they'll have some answers and some great trees on what to plant in your property. Did you know the fall is the best time to plant a tree? The cool, short days stimulate the leaves to fall, but the warm soil is perfect conditions for the roots to grow. So let's plant a tree. So we want to dig a hole that is a good bit wider than the actual pot. So I'm going a bit wide, it looks like, but that gives adequate space to let the roots kind of go outwards. And I also want to kind of break up the sides a bit and the bottom, and that once again lets the roots really get deep right off the bat. Now that I got the width that I want, I'm going to check the depth. So I actually just take the whole tree, kind of put it in, and see where the root ball kind of starts to the edge of my hole. And I think I have a perfect depth. I kind of want it maybe an inch or 2 centimeters deeper than the top of the ground. If you have clay soils, you want to consider putting it a bit higher so the roots don't get too saturated by water. Since I have the depth, I'm just going to take it out of the container. I'm just going to break it up a bit so the roots have a bit more movement and they're able to penetrate the soil a bit better. Then I'm going to put it in, going to make sure that all of that stays with it, and then I'm going to fill around the tree. So when you're repacking your soil or even putting mulch on, you don't really want to push it too close to the trunk. It will hinder your tree that way. So I kind of create a little moat or donut around it and then pack it in everywhere else. If you did want to put mulch on, you can. Just again, kind of create a little donut around the tree trunk. If you want to stake your tree, kind of only use one band to stake your tree. Too much pressure on the tree could lean it or hinder its growth. That's basically the basics on how to plant a tree. And I just wanted to tell you a bit about the tree that I planted today. So this is a native species called the Tulip Tree, and it does get its name because of a flower that it grows when it's more mature, and it's kind of yellowy white and looks similar to a tulip flower. This is actually my favorite tree, Carolinian species, and when it grows in the wild, it's actually a super canopy tree. So that means it is growing super tall and even taller than like the average tree canopy. It wants to reach above that canopy and get all of the sunlight. So it is a super tall tree. Now, that's basically all for today, so thanks for joining me, and until next time, see you in nature.